Hello everyone, George DeSantis here with the look of the market for the week ending Friday, December 7th, 2018. And as usual, let's take a look at the disclaimer. Just take a look, read, make sure you understand that I'm not a licensed professional advisor and therefore you shouldn't consider this to be investment advice. It's purely for educational purposes that I do this. So let's do the usual and begin with a weekly chart of the S&P 500. I think take a look at the moving averages first, as we often do. Um, you can see that the 4 EMA broke here after the first tariffs were put on. I think those were the steel and aluminum tariffs. Mr. Tariff slapped those tariffs on here. And soon after that, 2 weeks later, we got this fall here. So it appears that, well, we're still in a downtrend on the weekly chart. There's no doubt about that. Relative to the moving averages, the 30, the 9, and the 4. Okay, so where are we? We're in the middle of a trading range here. This neckline of this reverse head and shoulder is at 28.15 approximately, and the support we're finding is at 26.25 approximately. So we're in this trading range between 26.25 and 28.15 or thereabouts. What I don't like about this chart right now is this very bearish engulfing candle. This candle that is bearish totally engulfs this candle that was bullish. So the likelihood of a further drop in price of the S&P here is increased by this fact. The fact, first of all, that we have moving averages trending down, we have a downtrend, and we slap on this bearish engulfing candle doesn't really make me too excited about holding or buying stocks right now, although I still own a few stocks. In fact, quite a few, too many perhaps. Let's take a look at the daily chart. So on the daily chart, you can see this inverse head and shoulder here, or reverse head and shoulder. Here is your head and shoulder here, shoulder here. Then we had another rally on finding resistance up to the neckline of 28.15, back down. But what I'm noticing is that if you want to look at a more positive thing here, we're finding that the support at 26.25 has held from here, here, here. That's why I said last week we have a pretty good look at a triple bottom right now. But as I said on the weekly chart, that bearish engulfing candle bothers me a lot. Now, insofar as moving averages on the daily chart are concerned, you can see we went up here, the 4 crossed over the 9 over 30, and then we collapsed again. So it's a wait and see now what this coming week brings us. There's no certainty in this business, but we're just trying to make sense out of what we see and trade what we see. So if you ask me, we're in a trading range, but it looks pretty ominous, that last bearish engulfing candle. We might very well break below the support level of 26.25. So let's begin to look at some individual stocks. First one, a few of them that I own. Salesforce, for example. We saw this nice looking bullish divergence of MACD, and since then we've rallied up closer to the upper Bollinger Band. We pulled back. We're now within the buy zone here between the 9 and the 30. So I still own it. I will probably hold it unless we get a major pullback this week and the 4 crosses below the 9 or some other event like that. Or, as I said, the other sell criteria I have is if it drops more than 6% below what I bought it for. So we'll see. We'll take a look at some other ones. Let's look at Visa. Visa, similarly, you see you have that bullish divergence of MACD, and then you had that same rally as we saw in Salesforce. came close to the upper Bollinger Band, pulled back, got a nice bullish candle, and we seem to be finding support at this 200-day moving average. We put a critical point here where the 4 is just above the 9. Keep a close eye on Visa because I might just have to sell it. Follow my sell rules, you know. Next one is Johnson & Johnson. And this one looks a little healthier. You can see the 4 is above the 9. And the 9 is slightly above, well, the 9 is just below the 30, but we have a doji here, and there's a little uncertainty as to where we go from here. Again, keeping a close eye on it. If the 4 drops below the 9, or if I'm down more than 6%, don't hesitate to sell. Another stock we might look at is Adobe. I think they come out with earnings this week with Costco. So here we have Adobe, bullish divergence of MACD, rallied up to the upper Bollinger Band and pulled back in the buy zone here. So I'm gonna hold this one and see how it develops this week. What else? Etsy. We have Etsy finding support here in this at the moving averages. They're all clustered here. And once it hit the upper Bollinger Band, pull back a bit. But this is one I am not going to sell right now. And in fact, there's no reason to sell. You know, I'm still have a gain, a nice gain. And the 4 is way above the 9. So no reason to sell. Microsoft. Bullish divergence of MACD, rallied up to the upper Bollinger and pulled back. And now decision time. We have this piercing candle here, which is bearish. But I consider Microsoft to be more of a longer term holding. So unless we get a big drop, a further drop here with the 4 crossing over the 9, I think I might hold on here. Let's see what happens on Monday, Tuesday, etc. Microsoft, I bought some Tesla, so let's see what Tesla is doing. I like the way it still looks. We're riding up the upper Bollinger Band from a squeeze of the Bollinger Bands. And so I bought another 1,000 shares, and I'm probably going to hold this for a little while. We'll see what happens. That's Tesla. How about VEEV? VEEV, which is Viva Systems. This one is at a critical point. The 4 is crossing below the 9 here, so I have to keep a close eye on this. On Monday, I might have to get out of it. Even if I have a gain, I'll take it, you know. The other one we want to look at is Workday. I own all of these that I've just discussed. I like how it looks here. We had a nice bullish divergence of MACD, had a nice move here, hit the upper Bollinger Band, pull back, but there's a nice bullish candle, and now we have a bullish harami. So it looks like a keeper for now, definitely. We have a few other stocks we can begin to look at. Let's take a look. So let's take a look at the same stocks we just looked at, but on the Shaken Analytics platform. So the first one we have here is CRM, or Salesforce, and you can see that this long-term moving average, when prices are below the long-term moving average, it's not a good sign. You can see that Shaken money flow dropped off as soon as it dropped below this here. Salesforce became oversold here, and it rallied a bit, but hit the long-term average and came back. So it's questionable whether this thing is going to break up above here in the near future. So Salesforce is one that is questionable. Take a look at Visa. Where's Visa? Right here. Visa is finding resistance at that long-term moving average. The money is still coming in. The money flow is still good, and it was oversold and rallied a bit. But you can see the relative strength is very high, and it's neutral. So Visa is one I would hold. It's a long-term holding for me. What about Johnson & Johnson? It's a new one that I added some time ago. See, now it's way above the nicely above the long-term moving average. The money flow is good, was oversold, relative strength is good, and it's neutral. So this is one I'm pretty going to be holding unless we get a real crash in the market. The next one is Adobe. Adobe comes out with earnings this coming week, so I might have to do something here. I still own it. I still have some gains, but I gave back quite a bit, as you can see here. So we hit some resistance at that long-term average. The money flow is not bad. It was oversold and now it's overbought. And the relative strength is pretty high and it's neutral. So this one could be held, and I haven't sold it yet. And let's take a look at Etsy. Where's Etsy? Here's Etsy. Now, Etsy has some strength. It's rallying above the long-term average here. This is about a 200-day, but it's unique to Shiken's proprietary data and so on. So it's above the long-term average. Money flow is pretty good. It was oversold and rallied, and the relative strength is high and it's neutral. So probably hold Etsy. Microsoft's shown a little weakness recently, some weakness recently. See, it's bumping up against that long-term average, but the money flow is still there. Relative strength is good. So Microsoft is one that I'm probably going to hold too, and for a number of reasons, not just this set of data here. We can look at Tesla. I just bought Tesla a little while ago. It's bearish, I think, or neutral, according to Shaken. It's above the long-term average, which I like. It's above the 21-day average, and money flow is there. It dropped a little bit, was oversold, and the relative strength has increased. It's changed its personality, as the Shaken folks would say. It went from being bearish here, and now there's some strength. It's neutral, so I'm probably going to hold Tesla. I want to see how it does for a while. Let's take a look at Vivo. Where's Vivo? Let's see if we got Vivo here, right here. This is one I'm not certain about. You see, it's again bumping up against this 200-day average. Money flow has fallen off a bit, but it's still up there, still positive. Was oversold, now it's overbought. And the relative strength is not bad and it's neutral. So it's one that I might continue to hold. Then we have Workday, which I'm up quite a bit on. Workday, see it broke above here, above the 200-day. Now it became overbought. It became overbought on this upper line, dotted line here. So it's pulled back a little bit, but I love this one. Notice the money flow here. Notice it was oversold right here and it went up. Now it's overbought. So we might give back a little, but the relative strength is pretty high and it's neutral. So this is one I might continue to hold. And let's take a look at some of the ones that I sold, like Square. You can see that it's bearish. Square is bearish, and you see it drop below this long-term average. And while the money flow is still somewhat positive, the personality has changed. You see, this relative strength has fallen off. It's not like it was here. It's fallen off, and the shaken people say that this is a change in personality. So one of the reasons I sold it. Another one was Home Depot. Let's see if we can find Home Depot here. Where are you, Home Depot? Let's type it in. HD. Find the chart. We're almost out of time, but we'll take a look at this one last one. Okay, see, it dropped below the long-term average, and it's still looking. It changed the personality here. Folks, that's about all we have time for. I hope we have a better week in the market, of course. Nobody said it was easy. In Trinidad, a Trini would say, "You think it easy?" It's a statement question. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.